What's going on, everybody? I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. Welcome to another installment of Micro Brand Monday. We're going to be taking a look at a chronograph today. Very excited. Not the one on my wrist, but special thanks to Yema for sending me this Yema speed graph. Let's just open the box, yeah? It's 1:59 p.m. Let's get down to business. Alrighty, here we go. MALM. MALM? You know, the most difficult thing about Micro Brand Monday has been the pronunciation of the names of these various watchmakers. I don't know if it's like a salmon thing, where it's you just say like salmon, or if it's like a palm tree thing, where it's like palm. Tomato, tomato. I'm just gonna say MALM. Mama. Okay, all jokes aside, let's actually, open the box. By the way, everybody wants me to mention the packaging. Very nice, typical watch box, kind of grainage, thick stock cardboard outer box. But then, oh, wow, this looks nice. Look at this. Dang, fancy schmancy. Oh, smudge magnet though. I apologize. But I guess have no fear, because the first thing you see is a microfiber little square there. Probably, folds out into a full-size cloth. We have the watch right here, and we have some more MALM. Man, I'm gonna get in so much trouble. You guys are gonna roast me regardless of what I say, but MALM font. Okay, let's just take a look. Okay, so here we go, the MALM Catalina chronograph here. So we can see there's obviously a layer of protective plastic we're gonna go ahead and remove, but as it sits on the pillow, there's one striking feature about this watch. It's bronze. Okay, this is a bronze cased watch. It's a bit hefty as well. Let's go ahead. Oh, even the pillow says MALM. Very cool. Let's go ahead and remove this plastic, because I know that that's like your guys' favorite part. There we go. Okay, so the protective plastic is off, and we can all agree, protection, just no fun at all. And let's take a look at this gorgeous deep blue dial and how it contrasts with that bronze case and bezel. One thing I absolutely love is this kind of flecto going on the crystal. That is a double domed sapphire. You see a tad bit of distortion, but not a whole lot. I do love how it's playing with the light though. This will make for a very nice thumbnail photo. One thing that I want to see is how can we get this going, because neither of the registers are moving. The chronograph hand obviously isn't moving, so let's push the top pusher. Sure enough, it is alive. Very, very nice. Let's see if we can clear it by pushing the bottom pusher. So right out of the way, I just want to get this out of the way. This is powered by a Seiko Mecha Quartz movement. I know that will turn some people off that it is not mechanical, but it's not a bad movement. In fact, I've reviewed a few watches with this exact Mecha Quartz movement in it. But one thing that's bothering me right up front is this date window. Okay, it is clearly not centered because, well, I don't know what's going on. So let's see if we can move this date. So, okay, it's not a push-pull crown. It's threaded. Hey, good news. This watch has a 100-meter water resistance rating. Pretty impressive for a micro brand chronograph. You know what? We're actually just going to move the handset and see if we can. Yep, there we go. We'll move it to a nice, pleasant spot so that the handset exposes that MALM font there. Try to hold it in focus. So the threading, by the way, is actually quite smooth. With titanium watches and some bronze and brass watches, sometimes the threading binds up when the crown gets closer to the case, but this is actually quite smooth. And the knurling here, very comfortable, but also quite functional. It's not tearing my fingertips up, but if your hands were wet, I could totally see it giving you some good grip there. Just checking the crown setting and function, excuse me. two very tactile clicks. So the first one will most likely be the date. Yep, there we go. So I have one complaint about the date I'm going to bring up in a moment. And the second one, as we found out, will move the handset. Very, very good. Let's thread this up. Okie dokie, so because I just mentioned I have an issue with the date complication on this watch, I figured I'd just bring it up here. It's not like there's some huge fault that I just discovered. It's kind of a silly gripe maybe, totally personal preference. Circular date windows, they're just not my thing, okay? As well done as they can be, I don't think they ever look as refined as a simple squared off date window, okay? Again, different strokes for different folks. This is just one guy's opinion. What the heck do I know? But, you know, right off the bat, if I have to complain about something, it's that I don't really like this design choice of the circular date window. I just think they always kind of look like an afterthought. But, you know, whatever, personal preference. Let's get that out of the way. Now, I want to talk about that Seiko VK64 Mecha Quartz movement because some people may not have that much experience with it, and let's just go over it. Okay, so made by Seiko Instruments, this Mecha Quartz movement, known as the VK64, is a tuning fork type quartz crystal, and of course it has hours and minutes with a central chronograph hand. And what makes it a Mecha Quartz is that it has somewhat of a sweeping motion with that chronograph hand. When we look at the dual registers, we can see over by the 9 o'clock is a 60-minute timer, and then over by the 3 o'clock is actually a 24-hour indicator, and then of course down by the 6 o'clock is that circular date window. No! Now you'll be happy to know the Seiko Mecha Quartz movement is actually incredibly accurate at plus minus 20 seconds per month at normal temperatures, so that's a benefit, again, of having a quartz movement. Sure, it doesn't have a soul like a mechanical watch, but the Seiko Mecha Quartz is nothing to scoff at. So one thing I am very, very fond of when we look at this watch, again, is that crystal with that dial and how it contrasts with all the bronze accents. Those applied indexes, how they pop off the dial, casting a nice shadow. That recessed register, again, that 60-minute timer, how it kind of dips just below the main dial. It's just very, very tasteful, very pleasing to the eye, especially when we get up close like this for these macro shots. I love to see that type of dynamic look. It's very boring when a watch is just one single plane. And so to see them do these very tasteful, dips, I really like that. So the recessed register, I really dig it. Applied indexes, of course, always a plus. And then that deep blue dial. And it's pristine. I mean, you can see with these macro shots, I don't really see any imperfections, and that's a good thing. Similarly, on this end of the watch, when we look at this 24-hour register, it's also recessed, and again, I just love that dynamic design choice. Very, very cool. When we move the watch over, we can see that knurling on the crown, and again, aggressive enough to be totally usable, but not so aggressive that it chews up your fingers. Let's zoom out a bit and talk about something I'm very interested in. The bezel. That's right, if you have a bezel on a watch, I want to see how it feels. Okie dokie. Unidirectional bezel, very tight tolerance. I can see, I can feel, and I can hear it. Very definite positive ratcheting. All right. And absolutely no play. Okay, that's a very good thing. In fact, if I actually have to complain, it almost feels like the tolerances are a bit too tight, but that's kind of a silly thing to complain about. It's definitely not going to wobble on you. That's for dang sure. Wow. All right, so very positive ratcheting. Again, the serrations, aggressive, aggressive, but not something that's going to hurt you, which is great. And as we look at the side of the watch, we can see the crown is signed MALM or MALM, and then really nice checkering here over on each pusher. I really like it. Very interesting shape for the pushers, not just your standard circular pusher head, and very comfortable. Very, very smooth. We've stopped it. Now we're going to clear it. Goes right back to 0. Love it. we can see that Mecha Quartz semi-sweep there. Very, very, very nice. Let's align this bezel. There we go. People are going to complain. Oopsies. So I know you guys saw the case back when I was removing the plastic, but let's just take a look. Again, it's kind of engraved MALM. We can see water resistant 10 atmospheres, all stainless steel case back. Japan movement, of course, Seiko VK64, and a sapphire crystal. Man, one of my favorite things has got to be the way the sapphire sits on that case and just the light playing from it. It's a very handsome watch, guys. I gotta be honest with you. You know, bronze, brass, that was kind of the big thing in 2018. Luckily, that fad has kind of gone away, so there's not like a huge influx of bronze and brass watches on the market. You'll still find them, obviously, but it's not like the flavor of the week like it used to be. But this is, something about it, man. That crystal, the way it domes and the way it plays with the light, and then that deep blue. I know there are a few other options. We'll pull them up on screen. I think they have like a gradient green one as well. But in my opinion, this blue is, man, this is the way to go. They could only offer this one and I would be very, very happy. So now comes the time that every micro brand fears. When T3 breaks out his digital calipers. Don't worry, it won't hurt for that long. I'm just kidding. Let's go ahead. Wow, that could be a character. Let's measure it. Let's exclude the crowns and of course the pushers. So we're gonna get right in between here at the widest point. It is right around, let me see, 41.4 millimeters. And the lug to lug, make sure it's not slipping and sliding over here. 50.5 millimeter lug to lug, and then let's look at the straps. Actually, I have a very, I have to compliment them on their strap choice real quick. 1 second. 20.1 millimeter straps, so essentially 20 millimeter straps. Okay, real quick, before I put on the wrist, this rally strap, incredibly supple. Like, good job. I don't know who you're using. Incredibly supple. So that's like the first thing I noticed when I took the watch off the pillow. I was like, dang, okay. Woo. It's like, dang. I like it. I dig that, man. And then the clasp, of course, signed. Let's put it on the wrist. Here it is, the MALM Catalina Aeronautical Chronograph on my 7.5-inch wrist. I was a bit worried with that lug to lug measurement, it being right around 50 millimeters, but I gotta say, it actually fits my 7.5-inch wrist perfectly. It's not hanging over the sides of my wrist. If I needed to actuate the bezel, it works. Gotta stop the chronograph, it works. If I gotta clear the chronograph, it works. Man, comfortable watch, and it's bronze, so, or excuse me, yeah, it's bronze, so the more I wear it, the more patina it will, you know, cultivate, and it'll become my own. It'll age right along with me. Some people think that's gross, but a nicely patinaed, or a nicely patinated, I should say, bronze or brass watch, man, it's nothing better. So guys, as I've worn this watch and spent a few moments with it, of course with you guys, a few things really stand out to me. First, the name. Catalina Aeronautical Chronograph. It being called an aeronautical chronograph actually really makes sense to me. You know, there's some definite nautical vibes, the rotating bezel, the threaded crown, it being bronze. Of course, this is all very old school nautical, but it being an aeronautical means that it might have to do a little bit in the sky as well. And when you look at the dial, that also makes sense, right? When we're looking at chronographs, typically you associate that with things that go fast, whether it be planes or race cars or what have you. And when you look at the dial, you almost get a subtle Flieger vibe with that triangle up over by the 12 o'clock. And of course, the markings, 12 o'clock being 0. Hold on, let me align it. You see that in Flieger watches as well. 12 o'clock being marked 0. So this is very, very cool, and all of it seems quite well put together. It's a very tasteful package. Guys, when you speak to a micro brand and they tell you, okay, we have a bronze chronograph blue dial. It's going to be an Aeronautical chronograph. It's going to be a mecha quartz. You start getting a little bit worried because you know, okay, it's a chronograph. Chronographs might be it's easy to make them oversized. Okay, it's going to have a threaded crown. It's going to go in the water. You're thinking this thing might be enormous, gargantuan, a little bit gaudy, and not my style. This package, right up my alley. It fits well within the sweet spot of my wrist. I think it could be fairly versatile if you have smaller wrists than mine. Definitely if you have larger wrists than mine, you can still pull this off. The lugs don't overhang your wrist. Again, I have a 7.5-inch wrist. People laugh when I keep mentioning that. It's not that I'm bragging, it's that I'm a dang wristwatch reviewer, so I'm giving you that as a frame of reference. And then of course, the functionality. It being a chronograph, a very accurate chronograph with a movement from a company that I quite like. Has a threaded crown, 100-meter water resistance rating, double-domed sapphire crystal. Everything seems prim and proper. There's no, sediment under the dial. There's no weird smudges on the inside of the glass. You see that sometimes when we look at these micro brands. There's no speckles in places. The indexes don't have any weird markings on them, at least from what I can see. But there's one thing left to do. We gotta check the dang Lume. You're not getting away that easy. We gotta test the Lume, baby. Okie dokie, now to my favorite part of the episode, the Lume test. Let's shine it up a little bit. It's pretty dang good. Look at that minute hand, jeez. Wow, that is great Lume. The one thing I wish they did though was the hands on the registers, the sub-dial registers. I wish that they were lumed as well, because you can see the tips are white. So they're still visible, but I wish that those were also lumed. All in all, great Lume. Man, I'm like, whew. I'm very, very happy because the last couple watches I reviewed for Microbrand Monday didn't have the best Lume. I think the Dialos had decent Lume, but that Reverie didn't have great Lume. And I think one before the Dialos didn't have great Lume either. So this is a sight for sore eyes. Great job. Okay guys, so now comes the time where I gotta get a little vulgar and talk about price. This watch costs 620 euros. Here's the conversion on screen. Yeah, that's a pretty penny. And I think that's going to make some people have a bit of a gut check because that is not, you're steering away from entry level at that point. You're getting closer to $1,000 US. And I think that makes people really consider what watch they're going to be buying. Here's what I'll tell you. As someone that has this in their office, has this in their hand, has worn it right now, everything feels very well put together. Everything looks right up my alley. I really dig it. But you have to be in the market for this specific watch. Here's what I mean. If you want a bronze watch, but you want that bronze watch to also be a chronograph, and you want that chronograph also to have a decent water resistance rating and a threaded crown, this is a great, great option. And again, it is under $1,000 US. But when you mention 620 euros, okay, that's going to be over $600. It's going to make some people complain, and I get it. So I'm not going to tell you gotta go buy this watch because I'm not selling it to you. I'm just reviewing the thing. And what I can tell you is that this is a very, very well-made watch. It's a very handsome watch with a ton of functionality. And again, it's not gargantuan. It's not one of these huge, grotesque pieces. But what I will also tell you is you have to be in the specific market for this watch. I had a whole lot of fun reviewing it. I think it's a very, very good looking watch, especially with this deep blue dial. Everything feels great. The pusher's nice and smooth. All the serrations and knurling are functional and not rough at all. Movement, no complaints there. Really the only complaint I have about this watch is that circular date window, but if you aren't really a stickler about that, then there's nothing really to complain about. And then of course, you know, 620 euros is a pretty penny. But what say you guys? What is your opinion? Leave me that comment, because at the end of the day, this content doesn't mean a thing without the viewers stating their opinion. So I'd love to see your take on this watch in the comment section below, and we can continue the conversation there. And I'm sure this company, MALM, would love to hear your input as well. So guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today on this new installment of Micro Brand Monday. Special thanks to MALM for sponsoring this episode and sending me this watch to review. We can't make this content without the support of other businesses, so we thank them. Thank you to my certified T3 bots who make all of this content possible as well, and thank you to you, the viewer. You freaking rock. Thanks for watching this installment of one of my favorite series, I think. Micro Brand Monday has been increasingly successful, and I look forward to it every single week. So check out all the affiliate links in the description below. You help me out that way. Check out the channel membership so you can become a certified T3 bot. Check out my personal website, www.thetimetellershop.com. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, share this with everyone you know. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time, I just tell it.